Good evening, all our listeners and viewers. Like Emmanuel has given kind of a simple definition of Beatrice, but I'll go ahead and give, I'm a mother of 4 children. All of them are through school, university. 2 of them are married and married in church. I will, for purposes of other people understanding where I'm coming from, I'll give I lost my husband almost 30 years ago, and I've single-handedly, as a single mother, looked after my children, and I don't regret it because I think I've had the best out of it. So yeah, coming from a family where there was no papa, but there was a resilient mother, I was able to bring up very well, well-intending children. It is that background and teaching that actually pushed me further into trying to see what happens to these adolescents and children when they have problems. The last speaker properly has put it properly well, that the family is the center of the cause of all these teenage pregnancy problems. And now I come in and say, so in Uganda, in Africa, we're having very many broken families, like he has evidently put it. And these broken families are definitely bringing about children who are lost. And because they are lost, they mingle, they're in the environment even of those children who are from, in quotes, well-meaning families, well brought up children, families that have got good values. And in the process, we kind of end up having an enmeshment. Elizabeth, just when she gave us the preamble, she told us that so many approaches have been used, but pregnancy among teenagers has continued to be a problem. So now my question is, what happens to a child who begets another child when she's still a child? Because of circumstances that are beyond her control. She grew up, she gave us figures from the north and east, and we all know what happened in the north. In the northern Uganda, we all know what happened in the eastern Uganda. Family ties were broken. I happened to be in Gulu doing my work with Straight Talk Foundation during the war, when children were going on the streets, sleeping on the streets. And I would run away from Kakanyero and go down in the streets to sleep to cover myself in the blankets of these children who are on the streets. And quite often you'd find the boys are busy touching the girls, and then there I start my talking. Look here, this is not correct. I know you are going through adolescence, probably you are having certain feelings like this, but this is not correct. And we started kind of injury at that time. And that gave me the gas. Actually, I wrote a proposal, and probably these are some of the issues that my former speaker, the former speaker has talked about. But we wrote a proposal for Gulu Youth Center, where we'd bring instead of the children going onto the streets, now they started going to Gulu Youth Center. We had counselors, we had services. These children, some of them already getting pregnant. A lot of them had lost, information which is not correct. And with time, some sanity started coming up. We started seeing some sanity. And this has been replicated in many places. Most of these children did not have families or stable families. They did not have mothers. They did not have fathers. They saw their own mothers being raped. That is their first experience of sex. That's what they will tell you. And when they tried it out, they found, oh, so why are they telling us not to do it? So you need to come and start programming for different cases. My question was, so what happens to that child who begets another child and you are at 15 years? You know, garbage in, garbage out. Definitely, Langa, you have said that when you talked about it. So now, as I went on, I kept doing a lot of adolescent programs, and we came down to try and see. We have a preventive approach and a management approach. A family approach is very good. It is preventive. It is what I would call heaven here on earth. But our society is completely different. You will agree with me, all of you who are listening, that even some of the children in our families are getting pregnanted by their own brothers, getting pregnanted by their own fathers, getting pregnanted by their own uncles, yet they are living in a family. So even within the family fibers, the devil is already there. So now how do we deal with the devil? When this girl gets pregnant at 15 years, is pregnanted by the father, culture, gender norms, they will send her off, or they will, they will tell her, you go, they will hide her off. She will deliver, or maybe I don't know, whatever they will do with the child. But this child is psychologically tortured and will become vulnerable and become prey to another man and gets pregnant again. Reproductive health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of a disease or an infirmity. So that is why I come in and, balancing the boat and saying, fine. If we as parents can stick in and really be able to parent our children positively, well and good. It is very good. We can do that, but we should also go ahead and start parenting other children who do not have parents. Depending on what stage we find them, that will determine the kind of approach that we are going to give to these children. In my practice with children, I've done counseling in secondary schools. Like I said, you find a daughter, I'm sorry to say this, but a daughter of a reverend coming and telling you stories that you cannot easily believe. Madam, now what do I do? Auntie, now what do I do? And you are not in the home to be able to keep protecting this child. What do you do? The more, when these children have children when they are young, too early, they will have too close, they will end up having too many children, and the value of these children, the value of your life is completely gone. So now the question is, we need to question ourselves, what do we do beyond what we desire to have? Those are the families. That is at the family level. So that's when the reproductive health equation comes in. I would like to really inform you that comprehensive information onto adolescents is not all that is stereotyped about them. No. Adolescents are going through a physical change. There is a biological spurt. They are growing up, their bodies are expanding, and they all of a sudden discover, oh my God, what is happening? I don't seem to understand. And they also get feelings. They end up having, and actually during the adolescence, all of us experienced it. You have had sexual feelings, but unless you have been helped to understand what is taking place in you, you can easily miss. So sexuality is understanding me, Beatrice, as a girl, as a woman, what happens to me, and what can I do to make sure that I keep my vision? I am able to go through the valleys of this adolescence without having to get pregnant without having to have, you know, sex, without having to start friendships that are not going to help me. All that is, it's a compilation of activities, a compilation of strategies that can be able to help us. So I bring what I was asked to bring here now is the reproductive health component. And like I said, what do you do to the girl that has gotten? What do I do to the girl that has gotten pregnant? So on top of the talking, we give comprehensive education, but that comprehensive education is age and experience appropriate and timely. So the parents need to be able to monitor their children. If there are no parents, the community need to be able to monitor the children and see what seems to be having. Apart from that, we have the teachers need to be able to monitor the children and know what is happening, to be able to give appropriate information and counseling to this child who seems to be getting lost. There are some children who don't have the information and can easily find themselves at loss. You know, they don't know what to do, but because the parents at home have not actually told them the truth. So a combination of very many, you know, strategies need to be done. We do appreciate that in African country, we have, you know, gender practices that are very negative to the sexuality of our children. We need to be able to tell these children that actually this fine, I know your father definitely requires you to kneel down, but if your uncle, okay, might be your uncle or the elders, you need to kneel down for the elders. If your elder, if your uncle is telling you to kneel down and thank him because he has just raped you, do I really continue to kneel down just because I have to protect gender? So we need to help our children. What are those gender practices that will actually protect them? And what are those gender practices that will not protect them, so that they can be able to do what? To make informed decisions. And sometimes, like I've said, those children I met in Iguru, some of them had STIs. Some of them were pregnant. Where do you go to have the STIs to be what? To have STIs treated? We have our health workers, and our health workers also not being able to know how to talk to the children, to the adolescents, knowing that if you have started having sex quite early without even knowing under what circumstances that has happened to you, we judge them and we send them away from our facilities, and they have not been helped. When they go, it's damage after damage. So what do we do? Some of the causes, the biggest causes of teenage pregnancies, are the negative attitudes of service providers and towards the what? Towards the adolescents. We judge them, we talk to them, but we don't talk with them. We don't listen to them because it is us who have the what? The big knowledge that they should be able to use in order to improve their lives. I've talked about, you know, the comprehensive information. I've talked about the need to communicate with the adolescents, not to. I've talked about the service providers. These service providers, if they were to be able to see, to identify that there is a challenge in this child, and they give timely and affordable services, youth-friendly services, I'm sure we would not be having all these teenage pregnancies. I am not saying that. And it is not true that when you give, if these service providers can be able to identify this child who is sexually active because she is a house girl, maybe she has been, she's been forced into having sex by the son of the big boss, and she doesn't know what to do because she is poor. She needs to continue working, because back at home, there are some of her brothers whom she's paying school fees for. What do? You try to help this child out. Look here, it is not safe. You should be able to tell this young man, this is not safe, this is not correct. He should stop touching you in those private parts. He should not start, coquetting you into all these things. It is wrong. But when she finally gets pregnant, they will send her away packing. So what do you do to that child? She is already a dismal child. So that's why the reproductive health connection, we come in and say, fine, depending on the situation of the child, can you be able to give them services, youth-friendly services? And when you give them these services, you start talking to them. Look here, it is not good. Can you be able, probably, maybe you can be able to find better employment now that, probably if you make sure you don't get pregnant, move away, and you can be able to start another better life. If she has gotten pregnant, if she comes for services, for antenatal services, Langa said, when they get pregnant, the parents should be able to handle. The parents get lost. As mothers, we get lost, very lost. And actually, this might be another stressor in the family. When a girl gets pregnant, usually the fathers turn around onto your mother. You're like your mother. There is a lot of stress. So what do? It should be when they go for the service, for antenatal services, now the service providers in the facilities should start a journey of ensuring this child understands what she has gone through. If she must go back to have sex with another person, she must be able to prevent having another child. Because like in most cases, the parents will kind of send you, go and get married to that man. But when you go and get married to that man, having another child is another very, very, very big burden. You are bringing about more chaos in your world. So the youth-friendly services would be able to help to look at the before picture, look at the present picture, handle the crisis, and prevent another crisis coming on. And you cannot do that unless you have, for example, contraceptive services. So, coming from the reproductive health area, and actually we are busy implementing a project. We call it the Challenge Initiative. I work for JAPIGO. We call it the Challenge Initiative. And this challenge initiative, it challenges the communities to come out with, the communities and the local governments come out with resources so that they can be able to prevent unintended pregnancies. I'm not talking about abortion, please don't misquote me, it is not that, but it's using family planning. And there are what we call high impact interventions in what we call the Challenge Initiative University, where you can be able to download a lot of high proven impact interventions that will be able to help. We've done this specifically on even helping addressing the issue of teenage pregnancies. And in the areas that we are working, in the local government that we are working, we are seeing a downward trend on contraceptive services. When I talk of contraceptives, I'm talking of somebody who is already sexually active, and we are trying to bring them back onto an adolescent who is sexually active, and we want to bring them back to what we call secondary abstinence. That secondary abstinence might not be there because behavior change is gradual. Because behavior change also is a function of personality and environment. You cannot overnight turn around the environment to make it possible for this child to be able to immediately move from being sexually active to being sexually inactive. And that is what we would call secondary abstinence. So in that situation, from youth-friendly services, there is no way we can run off from contraceptive services. And so we've used several approaches in order to make the facilities user-friendly. We do what we call whole site orientation. orient all the service providers on the facility to be able to identify struggling adolescents. They can be able to start a journey with them and start on talking to them. If they are not yet sexually active, if they are not yet pregnant, at least you can be able to talk to them to be able to do what? To abstain. We've formed peer groups which can positively influence their what? Their fellow peers. I'm looking at the positive, and we do emphasize this. We have looked at, we've used parenting clubs, first parents, where first adolescent parents, especially those who have gotten pregnant, we don't want them to go back and get pregnant and get in the rut. At least they should be able to go back to school, you know, they will, or do retooling so that they can be of use to themselves as well as the children that they have produced, and prolong, so that next time I'm having a child, it is a child that I'm having because I have chosen to, and I have made an informed choice. So we also have other approaches like special service delivery days, where the adolescents will have their own day. They come to the facility and ask whatever questions they want. They will go through counseling. The service providers who have been trained in youth-friendly services will be able to help them make informed choices. If I choose, if she insists, no, but this boy loves me, you try to get a kind of a support system from the environment, from the family. But if she still insists, well, this is what we told you. This is where we should be able to go. So yes, I'm looking at the reproductive health component. Yet I'm seeing questions that, yes, Inspire is a Christian. I've been asked to give that other part, because this child, if you leave her there to keep struggling, and she has gotten pregnant and she continues to get pregnant another time, 15 years, maybe at 17 years, she's again getting pregnant. Maybe at 18 years, she's again getting pregnant. I don't think that would be actually Christian to leave them, for us to leave them there, because there are no parents around to parent them. If parents are there, they are divorced. Sorry. Then we also used community, the VHTs, the village health team members, who in the community realized that there are no parents. They can be able to go and start talking to these adolescents, show them the consequences of early sex, that pregnancy is going to come on, and some of them have actually been helped through this process. We have also conducted community dialogues in the communities on issues on teenage pregnancies, where community members identify an issue that is bringing about teenage pregnancy, and they'll sit down and discuss them, and even include the adolescents themselves, and discuss what is happening, how can we go about this. It is kind of involving the teenagers themselves to be able to understand that really what you're going for, this sexual debut that you're going into, is not going to be any good to you. So also we've been able to have engage political leaders, the religious, as well as the cultural leaders, to be able to continually, in their talks, to continually talk about the challenges of early sex. If you must, please avoid involving yourself in early sex until such a time when you are married. If they continue talking about them, the children probably, they look at them and okay, if leader is busy talking about it. I think this is right. I think this is okay. And also leaders making sure that the parents really look after their children. So it's kind of a holistic approach, but that holistic approach has medical or health interventions that are involved. For the Inspire Team Africa, if you want more or to know more about some of these high impact interventions, you can be able to, I'll give you a link. You can be able to go to TCI University, Google TCI University, register in it, and read and find out about all the other adolescent sexual and reproductive health issues that come along. I mean, approaches that can be able to help us decrease our teenage pregnancy. It is happening with us. We also remember, we're also emphasizing that these days we're having teenagers who are HIV positive, born to HIV positive, and their parents probably are not around. When they come for their art sessions, we take this chance to talk to them, because some of them are actually going, why shouldn't I get a child? You sit down and talk to them, and they are getting attracted to each other. Nobody to talk to them. So that's why I was saying the integrated youth-friendly services at every service delivery point in the facilities is very important.